So we're at the point, we've got the water pump off, we know it had problems, it didn't go, but the bearing was very noisy, so water pump's on the bench, it's off, easy job to do, out and air out of the way, a few bolts boxed, it's off. Now, the car's booked into Stealth Racing on the 7th of January. Spoke to Vince, had a chat with him, and yeah, we've got it booked in 9 o'clock to get it going. And I said to him, what's your opinion on running in? Because opinion can vary from millions of people. Generally, you're looking like 500 miles, drop the oil and stuff, and then put some fresh in and go from there. Spoke to Vince, told him I'm driving it. He said to do about 600 miles, keeping it sort of below 5,000 RPM, and then go from there. Mainly keeping low res because you don't exactly know what the fuel's doing. So, I mean, we popped up that sort of res once or twice, but we don't want to keep being up there and it not being fueling right because we're going to be running, might be running lean. Don't want to ruin the engine straight away. So I was going to do 500 miles, change the oil. Now we're currently on 390 miles, not far off 500. We've got the car jacked up, so you can see what's going to happen. I'm not going to get the water pump, put the water pump on it, put it back on the floor, get it out and clean it because it's minion. Take it out for a drive. You're only looking another one, maybe one and a bit drive, and we're looking at 500 miles. And I've got to go back in the garage, jack it up as we are now. So just to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. The water pump's on its way. I got it from Autodoc because, to be honest, not a lot of normal suppliers like GSF, Euro and TPS, trade part specialist stuff, didn't actually have INA water pumps on the shelf. They got loads of water pumps, but not INA ones. Now INA is in the white and green box, and they are the manufacturer level stuff. So anything you see with VW Audi stamped on it, tensions and all that stuff, is INA. It's just got VW's number on it. So that should be on its way. Autodoc's good price. It just takes a while. Not too worried. So we got it off now. I'm gonna sort it out later. But while we're now here, I'm going to drain the oil out of it, see what we're looking at. I've got some oil on the way, got some Miller's oil. In this, I've only put off the shelf GSF stuff, same as oil filter. It's good quality stuff, it will do the job, but it was just as a sort of running period. So it's time to drain that out while we're here now. Might as well drain it out, get the oil out, see what it's doing. If you remember, we have my neodymium drain plug in there, so hopefully that hasn't got big bits of metal stuck to it. Yeah, so we can drain the oil out. See what that's like, change the filter. So then once the water pump's in, put the water pump on. It's got nice new water pump we can trust. I'll change the thermostat as well because it's off anyway, just put a new one in, their pennies. I bought a Gates one this time, again slightly better quality. So that will all go on, it'll have fresh oil and a filter, get it up running as long as nothing's leaking from the pump. Then we're good to just get up to 600 miles and then yeah, get up to Vince and see what happens. So we're looking pretty dirty under here. Like I said, I have had it out on the road. Sorry, I just see something, got distracted. Yeah, obviously I've had it out on the road and a bit of dirt onto it, but yeah, it's meant to be used. That can be done. So the oil's draining out. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad, I'm not too worried. So for any who don't know, this is my neodymium magnet, and you can see how strong it is. Very strong. If you're going to spend 10 quid, 15 quid in a car, stick one of these in it. So this looks worse than it is. Most of it's obviously oil that I've just rubbed on there. So we had a bit on there. It was probably no higher than the actual nipple on the end and sort of domed. Nothing major. I mean, look, if you can... You can't really see it doing much. Yeah, there was a bit on there, but again, I'm not worried because the reason I put that in there is to stop any bits of that going through the engine, which I haven't. They've gone on there, which is fine. That's what we wanted. Because any of this is just, it's quite sticky, so it's sort of when I built the engine up, I used what did I use? Pre-assembly lubricant, like Lucas stuff. Now that's very sticky. So obviously that gets mixed in with the oil, plus when I put the timing chain in, the cam chain. That again has molly grease on it, specific grease for the chain to get it all bedded in. So you've got those two different oils mixing with the other oil. Bear with. Right. So I like that there. So, like I said, stand up. So, we put the engine oil in, which was good clean oil, on a freshly built engine. Now, everything was in tolerance. It's got new bearings in it, everything's new. Now, things are going to wear because the engine needs to bed in and things need to fit properly, because even though it's got a tolerance, and tolerance fits fine with those bearings, etc., you will have some degree of wear so it beds in. That's why you run an engine in. That's what it is pretty much. So again, like we said, we put that neodymium magnet in, which is the strongest magnets you can get on the market. Like I said, it's pretty strong. I think the video I done it on it picked up a good 20mm spanner. Yeah, so we put that in there to catch anything so it doesn't go through the pump and through the engine, which is fine. Anything that goes back in the oil and drains off and sticks to that is fine. It's safe, it's out of the way, which is what we want. We don't want anything going back through the system and damaging stuff or blocking stuff. And not once have we had any oil buzzers, oil lights or anything since I've started it up. And I've tested the sensors, the wiring works, the sensors work, so when you earth out the sensors, senders even, obviously the buzzer goes off, so I'm not worried about that. So to reiterate again, we had clean engine oil in it. This was the assembly lubricant we used when we assembled the engine, so that's green and quite sticky. And then that was the chain protection stuff, which is like liquid moly grease. So you've got those two differing liquids mixing with the engine oil itself, which is why we've got this sort of stickiness. And yeah, there's, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Yeah, so not too worried. There's not clumps of metal coming. If you had bits of metal coming out, I would have heard the engine beforehand, so I would have worried, but engine's sweet as a nut. This is just showing you what a new engine bedded in, or bedding in, will come with if you've assembled it properly with not Lucas, but just the correct stuff. If you just built it together and put oil in it, you'll probably see the metal bits more. But yeah, that's what we've got. So that's all cleaned off. Again, it's a no-brainer for stuff like that. Like I say, a bit of metal going through the engine, if it gets back through the pump and back through anywhere, it can kill things quickly. And that was like 12 quid or whatever. So yeah, we're happy with that, not a problem. We'll let the air all drain out. Luckily, with the Golf in that position, it's got a bit more sort of angle for the oil to actually drain out the sump. So we'll leave that to drain out for a couple of hours. And then we'll, what I'll probably do is, I've got oil there, man oil stuff, which is for the Mark V, but I'll probably open that and just put a cupful of it in the engine, just so when it goes down into the sump, it can then sort of wash out the last bit of the old oil, if you know what I mean. Again, leave that to drain out, and then we'll put some clean stuff in it with a filter. So the oil stopped draining now. That's your oil cap, lovely and clean, nice clean oil, so we're not worried about any condensation getting inside there. So like I said, now we've got some of that. What's that? Yeah, manual 530. So what I'll do, I'm just gonna put a cupful of it in there, and then we'll see it drain out the bottom, which will just give a last sort of sweep out of oil out of the sump. And as you can see, that's just the fresh oil coming through, so that looks very clean coming through, which is good. So like I said, all that's done is just put a cupful of oil through the engine into the sump, just to wash out that last bit of remaining old oil. So then when we put new oil in, we know we've got new oil. So again, we'll just leave that. It's probably about, yeah, a pint maybe, if that. So again, I'll just leave that to drain out. So we've got the water pump off, completely off the car. That's just a bit of sealant where the O-ring was. Now, curiosity wants me to pull that apart and see if I can see any witness marks and see what's gone wrong with it. But this is going back to GSF. As you can see, it's a brand new part. It is, I think it was a Melee or Thebby or something. Obviously, that's going back, so I want my money back, because for a part like that, not to last 400 miles is a bit shocking. And again, You can't feel the leverage that much now because I've taken the pulleys off, but again, I'll turn the volume up in this bit so you should be able to hear this. So I can't take it apart to test the bearing, but you can hear the bearing. So what we're going to do is just measure it. That's what's causing our noise. Cheap parts or just a defective part. I mean, it's normally good parts, but hey ho. So I think I've reiterated enough that the water pump bearing is knackered. I'll get the video edited, stick it up, and I'll see you next time when we've got some fresh oil, a new filter, and a new water pump. So catch you in the next one.